Hey, everybody, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Folks, we got to take a look at the price here because Bitcoin is below $115,000 once again. We're seeing red on the charts. Everything's bleeding out right now. But this should come as no surprise because what have I been telling you guys over the past 2 weeks on the podcast, in my newsletter, that on the weekly chart, the MACD shows the bears are in control. And I didn't like what I was seeing on the chart. I said that so many times, right? I have the receipts. So the point is, the data was showing us what's to come. And sometimes it does take some time for these things to play out, but it's all cyclical, right? I often highlight the MACD showing where bulls are in control and now bears are in control, but that's okay. This is just short term. And we've seen when Bitcoin becomes oversold, we look at the RSI in the daily chart, it's heading back to that oversold zone, which is about 30 or below. And then we're going to bounce from there. So the market may need to feel a bit of fear, right? You have the sentiment reset and then the bulls take over. It's the same cyclical pattern. But the important thing is from the macro, the bull market is still intact. Our support levels are there. Our macro factors are there. Our signals are there. The things that have flashed at the top have not flashed, right? So it's just the patience part of this market. So this is where I know it's hard. I know it's boring. I know some of you are losing confidence, but don't be emotional. Be educated. This is why I'm sharing the data points with you, why I've been sharing the MACD. Again, it's in my newsletter as well, right? My last newsletter, I put that. I gave the warning saying, hey, look, bears are still in control here. So this shouldn't come as a surprise, but I know, it's hard to see the market go through these turmoil and boring and volatile moments, but this is how you make money. You got to stomach through this and you got to be patient. So right now you got to use a lot of patience because, it's been pretty boring, nothing much happening, but we're going to get back on track. So don't get shook out. That's what the whales and market makers want you to do. If you look at global liquidity, as I've been sharing with you guys, it is hitting new all-time highs. This thing is not over. In addition, we continue to see Bitcoin whales based on on-chain data with wallets of 10 or more Bitcoin continue to accumulate. They're not dumping. So again, these are just a couple of metrics. There are more, but I just want to highlight that everything is still intact. Just the short term, we got in the micro, we got volatility. We got to deal with and we got to be patient. But the macro, everything is still on track. And we've been looking at even the stock market. That has been hitting new highs. The S&P 500, the Nasdaq, and much more. And as I've been stating recently, gold was leading the market as we've seen many times throughout this bull market. Then it cools down. Then there's a rotation to stocks, and then I think crypto is going to follow. So everything still on track, folks. Again, based on the data, not feelings or emotions. So this is a time to exercise a lot of patience. If the charts and your portfolio, looking at your portfolio bothers you right now, don't look at it. I haven't looked at my portfolio because there's volatility right now and there's not much to pay attention to here. So don't look at your portfolio every day. That's a big trick in staying patient and keeping your mental health, right? Because looking at these things every day and oh my God, my portfolio just went down a bit, that'll drive you nuts. Don't do that, right? So I've learned that lesson being here for multiple bull and bear market cycles. So again, guys, expect more downside, but we're going to find that support level and then the sentiment's going to be reset and then the bulls are going to take over and we're going to have a monster rally. And look, seasonality wise, Q4, I mean, has always been incredibly great, especially in bull market years, right? Bear market years, not so much. But we're in the third bull market year, and Q4 is setting up to be pretty great. And it's going to be for all markets, stocks, and so forth. So your patience will be rewarded. Folks, quick word from our sponsor, and that is Trezor. Trezor makes beautiful hardware wallets that make it easy to safely self-custody your assets. I'm a user of the Trezor Save 5 device. It's beautiful. It's easy to use. I'm a big believer in self-custody. I have been for years. My OG subscribers and listeners, you know that. I always talk about it. I keep the majority of my crypto assets on hardware wallets. And Trezor supports a variety of tokens, folks, from Bitcoin to the top altcoins like XRP, Ethereum, Solana, and much more. They have a software suite called Trezor Suite that helps you to manage all of this. And folks, they are the pioneers of the hardware wallet. They created these things back in 2013. They did the seed phrase setups. So no one else comes close from a pedigree and knowledge of building hardware wallets like Trezor. And folks, if you use my code Thinking Crypto, all one word Thinking Crypto, you can get 5% off a purchase of a Trezor device. So check it out. Once again, I'm a user and I'm a believer in the product. So link will be in the description. Now, look at this news. We were talking about we're still in the bull market. Arthur Hayes, who I've had on the podcast, he mentioned the following: crypto's ready for up only mode once the US Treasury general account hits $850 billion target. Now, we've seen this throughout this bull market, not just under Trump, but when Janet Yellen was running things under Biden as well. They've done some pseudo QE with the Treasury. So I think he's right. Let me give you the details of what he had to say. Crypto markets will enter up only once the United States Treasury hits its target goal of filling the general account, the TGA, the Treasury Department's bank account, with $850 billion, according to Arthur Hayes, co-founder of BitMEX crypto exchange. With this liquidity drain complete, up only can resume, Hayes wrote on Friday, as the US TGA's opening balance crossed $807 billion. When the Treasury is filling its general account, the funds are generally sequestered and do not flow into private markets. Many crypto investors and traders anticipate rising liquidity levels in the coming months as the US Federal Reserve leans into interest rate cutting cycle, which should boost asset prices until liquidity dries up and rate tightening process begins again. So once again, global liquidity on the rise. Rates are being cut by the Fed. Obviously, they just cut by 25 basis points, and there's more cuts that are scheduled. So I think the table is being set here for the bull market to continue. And once again, we already see global liquidity is breaking into new highs. So I think Arthur is spot on here. This is something he's been tracking over the past couple of years as we've been in the bull market, and it's been on point, right? So let's see. I don't know if the Fed's going to go full QE like they have in the past, but they're doing pseudo QE, working with the Treasury. Moving ahead, Coinbase CEO sets sights on replacing banks with crypto super app. So everybody is trying to set up these Web3 apps that offer all-in-one financial services and features, and a lot of on-chain services, of course. And I think it was Sandy Call of Franklin Templeton, who I've had on the podcast a few times, where she said we're moving away from an account-based setup, which would be like your banks, to a wallet-based setup. And I think we all see the direction the puck is heading here, where your digital identity, your banking, your on-chain, all these things will be all wallet-based and maybe in one app. So we'll see who is able to build that respective app and how they're able to roll it out to the masses. So let me give you the details. Speaking during a recent interview with Fox Business, Brian Armstrong, Coinbase CEO, confirmed the company's plans to offer a full suite of financial services with payments to credit cards and rewards, all powered by crypto rails. Here's a quote: "Yes, we do want to become a super app and provide all types of financial services," Armstrong said. "We want to become people's primary financial account, and I think that crypto has a right to do that." So Coinbase is positioned to be able to do this. They have the brand, they're public, they are the largest exchange in the United States. So you can imagine it's going to be easy for them to push this type of app because they have a huge customer base. Plus, they have the resources to really market this app. And they already do a lot of great marketing. Many of you have seen the TV commercials, and they're usually around in sports arenas. Like, I watch a lot of basketball games, the NBA, and I see Coinbase ads plastered in the arena and much more. So clearly, right, the direction things are heading in is that it's going to be wallet-based, on-chain. So very, very exciting. Now look at this. Bitgo files for a US IPO with $90 billion in assets under custody. This is going to be another big IPO, another confirmation item here that we're in a bull market. No one does an IPO in a bear market, right? When liquidity is dried up. So we've been seeing a flurry of crypto companies go public, which is very bullish. It reminds me of the dot-com boom in the 90s. Will everything be successful? Obviously not, right? The history and the nature of markets shows us that certain companies will do well and some will not, right? But that's the nature of markets and the economy. Now, I'm not saying that for Bitcoin. Actually think Bitcoin is going to be successful. They are a custodian for many of the big institutions in the crypto industry, and this would be a really big IPO. Just about a week and a half ago, Gemini went public. Then there was Bullish. Of course, Circle was a big one. So this would be really big. So crypto custody firm Bitgo has filed for a U.S. initial public offering, also known as an IPO, aiming to capitalize on the renewed institutional demand for digital asset infrastructure under the Trump administration. The firm aims to list its Class A common stock on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol BTGO, according to its Form S1 registration with the SEC dated Friday. The Palo Alto based company reported approximately $90.3 billion in assets on its platform as of June 30th, 2025. Its client base spans over 4,600 entities and more than 1.1 million users across 100 countries. So Bitgo supports over 1,400 digital assets and serves a mix of crypto native firms, financial institutions, governments, and high net worth individuals. The firm also touts $250 million in insurance coverage and completion of SOC 1 and SOC 2 audits. So I know Bitgo very well. It's headed up by Mike Belshie, who's the founder and CEO. And Mike Belshie is a Web 2.0 legend. The man was at Google building Google Chrome and much more. So, big fan of Bitgo, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this company go public. I'll try to get Mike back on the podcast. I've had him on many years, but exciting times, folks. Really great to see these companies going public. Final news item here. Senate Democrats push bipartisan authorship process for crypto market structure bill. So, of course, many of you know the Clarity Act, the market structure bill, is in the Senate, ready to be marked up, voted on, and much more. Now, it's a whole process, right? If you guys remember with the Genius Act, there were so many hurdles and votes, through the process. It's kind of painstaking, but that's how it's done. That's how the sausage is made. But this thing gets passed, it's going to be exciting. I actually interviewed Congressman Tom Emmer last week. I'll be publishing that interview in the morning where we talk about the timeline. What's the process? What does it look like in addition to other things? So he's optimistic this can get done this fall. I don't think it's going to happen in October based on what he's saying. It's most likely going to be probably late November into early December. I think that's the realistic thing because government doesn't work, on time. They're often slow. Plus, you have government shutdown, things that are going to be coming up. So it's your typical stuff in DC. So 12 Senate Democrats released a statement on Friday pressing their Republican colleagues to agree to a bipartisan authorship process for the crypto market structure legislation currently making its way through Congress. The Democrats want a greater role in writing the legislation rather than providing comments on a GOP written bill, Politico reported. I don't have a problem with this. I think the Democrats need to play a bigger role in this. I think that's important, right, for our democracy that you have these people weighed in. If you recall, the 12 Democrats that are mentioned here, they did introduce their own version of the bill. So I think it's important for them to bring their ideas to the table, even if some of it we don't like, but at least let them feel like they are participating, giving ideas, and maybe bring some balance, right? But obviously, if they're putting stuff that doesn't make sense for crypto, we can't have it. So if Elizabeth Warren is influencing this group in any way, it's not going to be good. But I'm optimistic because we saw the Democrats partner with their colleagues to get the Genius Act through. In addition, in the House, they were able to get the market structure bill there. 71 Democrats joined the Republicans. So I'm optimistic they're going to get this done. And it is much harder in the Senate, right? Not too many bills make it through the Senate, but I think we can get it done. Crypto's, I think, a high priority for these folks. I think many of them have become educated, especially a lot of Democrats. And Elizabeth Warren is no longer in the same power capacity, if you want to call it that. No more Gary Gensler and no more Sherrod Brown. So I think the Democrats who were wanting to support crypto were holding off because of Elizabeth Warren, the amount of power she had under the Biden administration. But now, of course, Elizabeth Warren and Gary Gensler have been defeated. And we saw how the election results played out. So I don't think these Democrats want to play any games here going against crypto. That's the wrong side of history to be on. So I'm optimistic they can get this done, but I think any hope of it getting done in October is out the window, according to what Congressman Tom Emmer said. But anyway, you guys can check out that interview in the morning. But guys, I think this is going to be a huge narrative. In addition to liquidity and the Q4, kind of seasonality that we see with markets. So I think things are leading up here. The Fed has cut rates. A lot of important factors that would be good for a rally are happening here. And I think once this goes into law, signed by President Trump, it's going to be so bullish for this market, not just for the immediate or even 2026, but I'm talking the next bull market. Because you can imagine during the bear market, a lot of companies are going to build, they have the clarity, and they're going to set up for the next massive bull market. So folks, exciting times. I know the price doesn't reflect that yet, but it will, right? Don't be emotional, be educated. So folks, that's the news. Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Hit the thumbs up button. A great way you can support me is by subscribing to my free email newsletter. It is 100% free. I will be putting out a newsletter tomorrow. Check out my book on Amazon. It's available in paperback and digital, and my course at mycryptocourse.com. Expand your knowledge about this technology and asset class. Check out this course. It is packed with tons of value. Folks, thank you so much for watching and listening. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you all later.